Hey guys, if you're new to the podcast, thanks for joining. On most of the videos that I've posted so far, you haven't seen my face yet because I'm sharing kind of old podcasts that I've completed in the past of different crime locations that I've gone to, different stories that I've followed. Today I'm actually out front the Summit County Justice Center just outside of Park City, Utah. And this morning, the trial of Kouri Richins for the murder of her husband, Eric Richins, is going on. I was actually able to make it inside the courtroom for the opening statements. And I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. I first heard of this case in May of 2023 when I was driving back from Boise from having attended one of the days of the Lori Vallow trial in Boise, Idaho. But Kouri Richins is accused of many financial crimes, and she'll be tried for those later on in a separate trial. But this one is for aggravated murder of her husband, Eric Richins. They had 3 boys, and for quite some time she was accused of stealing money from him in different ways, taking out loans that she shouldn't have done. She got into debt, a great deal of debt, and then in 2022, the night of March 3rd to March 4th, she's accused of putting 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in a Moscow Mule beverage that she gave to Eric before he went to bed. And then at 3 a.m. she said that she went in and found him lying cold in his bed. During the opening statements, the prosecution laid out that it took her about 16 minutes to call 911 after she found the body. She found the body about 3:06 and then called 911 about 3:21 a.m. On the morning of March 4th of 2022. And they played actually part of the 911 call, and you can kind of tell she seems to be hamming it up a little bit in the phone call. A lot of these crime cases I follow are outside of Utah, so it's just very, very cold today. It's like 15 degrees right now. I got here at about 5:40 a.m. to get into the morning session. I've got to take off for the afternoon session, but I just wanted to make a video and say it was pretty interesting to be in there for those statements. I was sitting right behind Eric Richins' parents, and I was sitting about 4 rows behind Kouri Richins, kind of directly behind her. The jury is made up of 6 men and 6 women. They were all very attentive for the opening statements. And the decorum during this court session was pretty hardcore compared to what I'm used to. In going to the Lori Vallow trials and the Chad Daybell trial, and also the Brian Kohberger sentencing last summer, the audience members were able to have their phones out as long as they weren't disrupting or taking photos or recording. But they're a little bit more on top of things this time. I think this is a very high profile case in the country as a whole, but especially for Utah. The trial of Tyler Robinson for the shooting of Charlie Kirk is going to be coming up in the months to come, and I would assume that one's going to be pretty hardcore as far as the way that they treat it as well. I hope to make it back for another day sometime during the coming weeks during the trial. It's supposed to last about 4 or 5 weeks. That's about how long they have it blocked out to last. But I just wanted to make a quick video touching base with you and letting you know that I'm following this one. I'm sure a lot of you, as being true crime aficionados, are following this one also, but very, very interesting being in the courtroom and seeing Kouri firsthand. She had her hair kind of slicked back in a bun, as she has, and kind of very attentive, leaning forward with, ready for battle with her pen in hand as the opening statements were being given. They let us out on a brief break, and then I've got another obligation that I've got to get to, but I wanted to leave that with you. I know a lot of these podcasts that you're following probably aren't people that actually were in the courtroom. And so I, having been in the courtroom for the very beginning of the trial, I figured I'd let you know how it was going. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for listening to Saints and Sinners, True Crime in the History of the West. Hi, I had a few more minutes this afternoon. I wanted to jump on and talk about a couple more things. So as we were waiting to get inside this morning, I showed up, like I said, about 5 a.m. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was almost 6 a.m., about 5:40 a.m. to get into the courthouse, or at least to get my ordering in line. They gave out wristbands about a little bit after 7 a.m. So I got the number 4 wristband to get into the Kouri Richins trial. There were 3 in line before me. I'll post a picture of Selena that was number one in line. She was a real cute lady, real nice, super big time true crime fan. They gave us this list of, it's 5 pages long, of decorum for the courtroom. The state of Utah oversees most of these large trials, and so they're really strict as far as what goes on in the courtroom and so forth, and phone usage and whatnot. So they gave this to us and this wristband. But the opening statements were super interesting to be in the courtroom. I was about 4 rows behind Kouri Richins. Eric's dad was just to my left, right in front of me, on the row right in front of me. Super nice guy, it seemed like. We're not supposed to interact too much with the family, obviously, while the trial's going on, but he seemed really kind, really nice. I felt like the opening statements went well. The jury was seated, the week before last, and there are 6 women and 6 men. They were all paying a lot of attention during the opening statements. The judge, I think, is going to be great. Mrazek, he's probably in his 40s, I think. I haven't looked that up, but he seems like he's pretty on the ball, pretty no nonsense, but also pretty polite in his process as well. I felt like the prosecution, Bloodworth, did a great job. Really hit home. He had a lot of visuals that he showed. One of those were 3 gifts that Kouri sent to her boyfriend the day of, really, that Eric was allegedly murdered. And one of those was from Dumb and Dumber, and it was Jeff Daniels' character rubbing his face with wads of cash. And so she's something else, I'm telling you. That's pretty horrendous behavior. The defense did an okay job. I don't think she's got, Kathy Nestor, she's got not a lot of leg to stand on. It'll be interesting to see how Kathy handles things. Obviously she has to acknowledge that there was an affair going on. Her approach, I think, in the opening felt like, well, any marriage has its ups and downs, and it's behind closed doors. We don't know exactly what's going on, and she focused on Eric having not necessarily a drug problem, but that he loved marijuana gummies, and she sort of laid the groundwork that Eric might have potentially taken that fentanyl on the evening of March 3rd, just even without he just found it and took it, like it wasn't Kouri that gave it to him. I think it's pretty damning when you go to Bloodworth, who's laying out the timeline, and pretty much said that Kouri claimed that she found Eric cold a little bit just after 3 a.m., about 3:06, I think, was when she claimed to have found him, and then she didn't call 911 for 15 minutes after that. And there was no evidence that she tried to perform CPR. And also in those 15 minutes, there were she walked 300 steps around the house. They were able to track that on her phone. And she also opened and locked her phone 4 different times in those 15 minutes before she called 911. He also played part of the 911 call was played. Actually, it was the defense that played that. But I felt like the defense should not have played that in the opening statement, because it doesn't sound good to me. I mean, obviously we go into these things with biases all the time. But to me, Kouri's kind of sounding like she's just hamming it up. It's hard to judge someone when they're going through grief, but you can kind of tell that there's some fake sort of acting going on there. But yeah, those 3 gifts right at the very end of the prosecution's opening statement really, really hit home. They weren't up on the screen very long. I was trying to write down what they were. Somebody ended up posting them later on. So I'll put them in the edit. But I think it's going to be a great trial. I don't know if it's going to go the full 4 or 5 weeks. I picture it going maybe 3 weeks max. That's kind of my take, but I could be completely wrong. It'll be interesting to see if Kouri gets up and testifies. Probably usually not a good idea. All you have to do is look at the Alec Murdaugh trial to know that that's not always a good idea, even if you bring on the waterworks on command. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it every day. I won't be able to make it tomorrow. Might not be back for a few days actually there in the courtroom, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of what it felt like to be inside the courtroom today. They let 24 spectators in, and then only about 5 people from the press. So there were a lot of reporters actually that were left outside the courthouse that were doing interviews. I did a couple interviews before I went in this morning with Channel 2 here in Salt Lake City. Yeah, talked to a little bit with Nate Eaton with East Idaho News this morning, and he's going to come down next week to cover it. It'll be interesting to see how things go. But thank you for following Saints and Sinners, True Crime in the History of the West. Hit a like and subscribe. This is new to me. This is, you could probably tell. I'm like glancing down at notes, no teleprompter. I want to kind of get a little more versatile as far as being able to do stuff maybe indoors at the desk, and then maybe taking you to certain locations where murders and things have happened, here in the West, and tell the stories of those. So it's going to be kind of a two-faceted. I know a lot of true crime today is just focusing on current cases, and I love that stuff too. I go to the trials. I love it, but there are so many stories that still need to be told, and I'll continue to do that too. So thank you for following very much, and have a great week. Thanks.